Hyrox 2022 is in the books. How can you crush your race for 2023? Hey, what is happening, people? Woodsy Workout back with another video. Sorry it's been a while. I've been super busy, laser focused in on Frankfurt, which is where I raced last weekend. So today I will be going over my experience with that, and then I'll get into how to plan for your races in 2023 and set up your training, mistakes to avoid when setting up your training. So Frankfurt, Germany, home of Hyrox. To set the scene, I kind of decided to fly out a little bit last minute because I'd set myself the goal of sub 70 minutes this year, and London didn't quite go how I wanted it to, and this was really my last chance to put in a good time before going into a rebuild phase, which I'll kind of get into later on in the video. But I don't think that racing really frequently for long periods of time is inducive to your best potential results. This was my third race in 3 months, and I could feel that I couldn't keep that peak race ready fitness for much longer. So yeah, I saw it as my last chance, and then if it didn't go how I wanted it to, I'd have to deal with it and rebuild. But it did go how I wanted it to, so that was really good. It was a really good race for me. I hit a 2.5 minute PR and got first place in the 16 to 24 men's pro age group, which means I qualify for World Championships, get in there. So really happy about that. Looking forward to seeing you all out there in Manchester and racing the World Champs, yeah. Well, firstly, I want to say well done to everyone that competed. Thank you for everyone that gave their support. Shout out to the Rock Zone boys who also threw down, and they cheered me on. If you haven't listened to their podcast, I would definitely recommend going and checking them out. We've also teamed up to provide you guys with some more awesome content. So you can look out for that on Instagram at Woodsy Workout and at the Rock Zone Pod. Thoughts on the course? I think as courses go, this was a fast one. The running track was 2.5 laps and not busy, but there was a couple of sharp bends that, and the track crossing was actually directly after one of these sharp bends, so it did kind of break my stride up a little bit in maneuvering around that. Fairly big rock zone, but small station zone. In terms of my race, I started out cautiously. London was a real eye-opener for me in how much different variables make a big difference. In London, I came out fast and got hit hard by the sleds. I said to myself, I don't want to make any moves until you know what the sleds are like, and in fact there was no issues. They felt like most of my races. I felt good going into them, and I actually got the fastest sled push time overall without kind of disrupting my run afterwards. So I think I actually think I could have done the push without braking, but I did pause to keep some energy in reserve. And that was pretty much the mentality I kept throughout. I tried to stay in control and not push too hard and keep a constant running pace. The burpees was interesting. The burpees was one straight line, which was the first time I've seen that. Normally it's like up and back. This was a straight line that led directly into the running track with like basically no rock zone, which was different. It probably makes the burpees quicker, but then I definitely felt it was hard to keep pace on the run after. But I decided not to slow down because the row was next, and I treat that as a bit of a recovery. The farmers had a lot of bends, which made it harder. So I dug deep to keep that unbroken, and then I pushed a bit harder on the run before the lunges. Lunges I took steady. I knew at that point I was kind of on for a good time, so I didn't want to like make any silly mistakes, risk pushing too hard and cramping, because I have sometimes felt that sort of cramping feeling on the lunges. So took them steady, pushed a bit harder on the run after that, and then it was just the wall balls. I tried to break those up into smaller sets, 15 reps all the way up to 75, and then I tried to just fully send the 25, but I didn't make it. My heart rate was through the roof. I don't know how I broke that up. I just did what I needed to get it finished and cross the line. Overall, my time was 1 hour and 9 minutes 3 seconds, which is my best time by 2 minutes and 26 seconds. So I was super pumped about that because, as I said, really wanted to get that sub 70. So yeah, super pleased with that. The biggest takeaways and advice I can give is don't overreach. Don't overreach until one, you know you can recover. So if you're pushing hard, where are you going to get that reprieve? And then two, don't overreach until you know you can sustain it all the way to the end. And that's going to be different for different people. So for some, you might think after the row, I can kind of push onwards. And for some people, you need to keep some in reserve until like right to the wall balls. For me, I had to really trust that not going as fast as I could would pay off. But yeah, that was Frankfurt, my opinions, and let me know how you found it, if you raced Frankfurt or if you raced LA. How did you find that? I think looking at the times, it may have been a slower course. Some of the top men raced and didn't break the hour, although I'm not sure whether that was a fitness thing or a course thing. What I will say is, like, there's so many variables that go into racing, both your personal preparation and how you feel on the day, and race strategy, as well as the course differences. So I think you see the same athletes can swing by like a couple of minutes, and that's why I'm actually really excited to see how the European and North American championships pan out when you've got all of the best people head to head. Right, so now we are in the Hyrox Christmas break. There are no more races until the new year, so we're now looking to 2023 and how to plan your Hyrox training for your races in the new year. I'm going to be running a 16-week Hyrox course online and in person, so everything that I will discuss will be included in that, and you can follow along with me and like-minded athletes as we build towards London. So when planning your training, I think you should definitely look at which are the most important races that you want to peak for and which ones you can use as experience within a training block. So I think that's the best way to get the best results, especially if you've got like a few spread out. You can't necessarily keep trying to peak towards it all the way throughout the year and do the same style of training. I don't think it's the most inducive to results. So I think it's much better to have a kind of a cycle where you build up, you hit a peak, you hit your best races at that peak. And yeah, you can definitely do races and other events and competitions along the way, but it doesn't disrupt your training so much. And I think that's really the best way to get results. The way we kind of look at that then is in phases. So a phase will consist of like 2 to 4 weeks of the same or similar workouts, and they'll have an overall purpose. So it may be building strength, building muscular endurance, or getting race specific work and speed in. Then going deeper still, so once you've got your phases, you can look at your training week, and I like to undulate intensity. So that basically just means that you're not going super high and intense. It's not like soul-sucking work every single day until you just crash out. I personally do like a low stress day, a high intensity day, a low stress day, high intensity day. So low stress might be like long cardio mobility or complete rest. And then high stress could be like heavy strength work, metcons, or like quality threshold or tempo runs. And then the final thing to think about is benchmark workouts or time trials. So these are workouts that stay consistent and can be easily measured to track your performance. So putting it all together, I will lay out an example of how I've planned the 16-week online course, which will be leading into London as the priority race. Obviously, this would look different if you were planning for different races. So we're going from the first week of January. We will start with a couple of benchmark workouts and fitness tests. These will be, there's not anything super special, but things like a 1K time trial, a 5K aerobic run, so keeping your heart rate below a certain percentage. The Hyrox PFT is quite a good one, and there's a couple of others. So we will check in on these once or twice per phase. And then you're looking at a 3-week build focusing on progressively overloading, trying to improve upon your times and weights on each workout. After the 3 weeks, we will take a deload where the focus is on recovery and dialing back the intensity. If you are doing Manchester Hyrox, you can fit it in here. Just know that this is very early on in the training plan and not our priority. Ideally, you would do a full run through in the next 4-week block, which is where we change up the workouts a bit to make sure that we're covering everything. You do another 3-week build before tapering, and that's when we'll hit the first race or full race simulation. The idea in that first 8-week block is to improve upon your fitness, which will likely result in a better race time. But again, not treating this race as priority, it's more of a practice and experience. Then with the knowledge from your last full run through or race and a good level of fitness that's been built in those 8 weeks, you're in killer shape and have the capacity to do more race specific stuff and really dial in on your pacing and conditioning, which will be the focus for the next 7 weeks before tapering and peaking for London. So this plan will be on my website at coactiveperformance.com. And it can be modified if you are racing Hanover or Anaheim, which are like a week either side, so they can just be slightly modified. I also have a Hyrox training principles guide on there, which is basically everything I discussed and much more to allow you to make your own plan. If you have any questions about it, or if there is a different race that you're looking to peak for, drop me a message on Instagram at Woodsy Workout, where you can find plenty more tips and tricks on all things health and fitness. Until then, I will see you in the next video.